3, 2, 1. Thank you for coming by, man.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. It's a pleasure to meet you. Before we get into this, man, just introduce yourself real quick, what you do, and then the legislative stuff you talked about and what you were and what you sent me earlier today.
Fuck yeah. So my name's Luis. I go by SHATODOOR. That is my DJ and producer tag. I've been a local DJ here for about a year and a half. That's when I essentially started the project. But yeah, no, that's what I'm doing here in town. That is my main goal. It's my plan A. I also am an advocate against the troubled teen industry. Something I'm not super loud about anymore. I used to be more, but that's something I've always kind of kept tabs on, and that's its own little rabbit hole for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome that you do that. And I definitely want to get into all of that. But are you born and raised here in New Mexico?
Yeah. I grew up here in Albuquerque. I've lived in Arizona as a baby, but I know my home here in Albuquerque.
Okay. What was growing up here like for you?
It was cool. It was interesting for sure. I grew up mostly in Rio Rancho for a long time, mostly on the west side of Albuquerque too. Mm-hmm. I went to school here. I went to St. Thomas Aquinas up in Rio Rancho. I did St. Pius too. Just graduated from UNM this May, so fresh out of college too.
Congrats! What'd you get your degree in?
Economics.
Damn.
Economics for
Damn.
sure.
Good for you.
Supply and demand.
Good for you, man. That's a field that's lucrative right now.
It's cool. So, it was cool to study. It was cool to study it during the pandemic, especially. Mm-hmm. It was cool seeing a lot of shit kind of go down in real time.
Yeah.
That we were learning about in class too.
That's I remember during the pandemic, it was maybe June or July of 2020 when that when the cargo ship got stuck in the canal for 5 days, and then it backed up the supply chain for 2.5 to 3 months.
It was a perfect time for our professors just to pull it up and be like, this is what we're talking about when we see supply chain fucking issues how it fucks up literally everything.
That's got to feel good as a teacher to see what you're getting taught get validated in real time.
It was cool to see that as a student too.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts. So, how long has music been an interest in your life?
Since I was young, super young. My parents will tell you that I was playing guitar in front of the TV with the Wiggles on and shit, and eventually They gifted me instruments for a long time, like drums and guitar. I played that for a long time. Eventually, it turned into a fucking SoundCloud rap project in high school because that was the fucking cool thing to do. And it was fun. I tried it out. It was I ended up performing live several times too.
Oh shit! So, as a high schooler.
Yeah. I did talent shows and shit. And eventually did jam spot shows,
cool.
And stuff like that. Not anything serious, so I don't know. It was kind of hard for me to take myself serious in that.
As a 14 or 15-year-old, how old were you?
I was 16, 17.
16. Okay, so at a junior, senior in high school, you're going downtown to do a show. A show's a show, whether it's 3 people or 30 people, 300 people.
It was always more than I expected too, which was cool. I always had very supportive friends that came out to see shows, no matter how sketchy or they were. But
so, what year was this?
This started in about 2017, so when I started doing those shows. Eventually kind of gave it up during college. Once I had just other interests and it wasn't something that suited my taste anymore. But once I got into EDM, right after the pandemic restrictions kind of started lifting up, that's when I was oh shit, I'm gonna take a stab at this again.
What were you listening to growing up?
A lot of rock music, lots of Metallica, lots of Bon Jovi, lots of 80s stuff. Rick Springfield from that was my mom's favorite, so I always just kind of had that on. That was something I saw in concert a lot too, so
that's cool.
That was who I kind of looked to as a performer and someone with just really solid stage presence. That was that translates in any performance, so I always took that kind of seriously or looked into inspiration to him. But EDM took fucking everything over.
So what I'm curious about what led you into actually trying to rap, trying to go out and perform, because people what I noticed is especially when you're that age, if you try something out, you don't really know the avenues to go out and do it live, to actually get are you are you talking to these like the people that own the Jam Spot? Are you talking to them yourself? I'm proud to announce that the podcast is now officially sponsored by the fine people over at Chop Chili Company. Guys, this is some of the best chili you can get here in the state of New Mexico, and they are online as well as in stores. They can be found at Smith's, Albertsons, Sprouts, John Brooks, and Lowe's Corner Market. They have 3 amazing flavors that you see here, and they also have frozen green chili that you can get online. Go on over to the website, chopchilico.com, and get yourself some amazing chili today.
Not necessarily.
Know a guy who knew a guy, like...
Kind of like that. What essentially happened was I like a talent show, like opportunity came up, like I was like a junior, and I was like, okay, this is something that I could like try out for, and then like I would have a show to do. I think it's like, it was 2 shows too. It was like a Friday and a Saturday. So I auditioned, ended up like getting like a slot. And one of my homies, he like wanted to do it too. So he like, they gave us like a 10-minute slot. So I was like, there's a lot of room for us to like kind of do whatever.
Yeah.
We ended up with like this act. It was like not fucking amazing, but it was good enough. And they gave us the first slot. So like literally
to open the show.
Literally like really open it up, and it was like mostly like an audience, so like parents too. So I was like, we're gonna just do it and see how it goes. And we did it twice. I learned a lot from that experience, and now to do it again the next year. So those are like my first like couple shows. Then like I had friends do like Jam Spot shows that like they knew I was like into music, so they're like just have like hit me open. So I'd like open for them. I did like a few of those. Eventually, it was like I want to do this like more seriously, but at the same time, I was like, I'm not taking myself like that seriously in this regard. I was releasing music, like on SoundCloud and shit. I had like a couple songs on like all platforms, but like I ended up just like taking those down for like I'm still using like the same name. So
what was your name back then?
SHATODOOR.
Oh, okay.
Still,
okay.
It still was that. So, once like EDM kind of started becoming like my project, I was like, I need to start like fresh, like really fresh.
That's cool. How did you land on the name? It's very unique.
It is, yeah.
It's very unique.
I was always like Shato to some regard. That's just a nickname I kind of like carried for a long time. Didn't really mean anything to me. Just kind of it was. I will respond to that more than like my own name sometimes, and it became a. I remember I was hanging out with like one of my best friends in like freshman year, 8th grade time span, and he like called me like Shato, like around like his parents, and his dad was like Shato, like SHATODOOR, and for some reason we thought that was like the funniest fucking thing ever, and that became like my tag on like every social media, and it was just like, all right, I'm SHATODOOR now.
That's funny.
And I'll explain it as like just another way of saying shut the door, but I don't know, it comes with more like lore to that as like my music project like goes better, because like it's cool to like brand with like a door, like who else like kind of like has that like on their merch.
Yeah, I get you.
There's a lot of cool stuff I could like do, like visuals too. I have like, you see like my live shows, I have like door visuals.
That's funny. So you get out of high school, you're starting to move away from doing rap music. Are you going into college, getting into economics, or is that something you found a little bit later?
I was gonna be pre-law. I kind of went in with like the intention of being pre-law, but that's not like really a major. They kind of say like there's like certain like majors you could like go in that like will help you when it's like time to go to law school. And I kind of I was like interested in criminology initially, but something about it fell out of interest to me like right before it was like time to sign up for classes, and I was like, you know what, like econ sounds cool. It seems it'll be useful and like sometimes. So I just signed up for those classes and just stuck with it. I also like had my like big bro in my fraternity, he was also an econ major, so I was like, this is like, oh, it's like someone like I could like do this with, and like someone who will be like a step ahead of me in that process. So I was like, okay, like I'll stick it through.
Okay.
With econ.
How did Greek life treat you?
Really well, really well.
Yeah. I never touched it. I mean, I went to military school for college down south, and then
Nimi?
Yeah,
that's my dad went there for some time.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So I went down there for 2 years. Well, I went there for like 4 years of high school and 2 years of college. But when I left there with my associates and I went to UNM, didn't do great, dropped out, tried it again, ended up needing to actually go work down in Roswell because I just couldn't find decent work here. And then so I dropped out again. COVID hit. And then I came back, and because of what we were talking about a little bit earlier before we started, what I was using to get funding for school, they decided to pull it. So I was like, fuck. So, and it was funny because I started doing criminal justice in the beginning. I was like, I have my associates in this, but it's just super easy to do there, and I liked the subject, but I don't want to do anything with it. So I was like,
That's like how I felt kind of too with criminology. I was like, this is something that like I'll love watching like Law and Order and like shit, like crime TV shows and like have that like interest in its own. But like studying it is just another thing that I'm like, I'm gonna have to eventually like apply this to work, and I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna be my route.
Yeah, and when I started looking at it practically, I was like, well, what jobs do I want to do? And any job that I wanted to do back then, I would never do now. You know, because I have zero interest in it, or I just don't agree with it as an institution. So I was like, I don't really think I'm going to get into that. So then I started going to school for film.
Nice.
Funding got cut. So I was like, fuck. Well, shit happens. So I never even touched Greek life. So, and especially in UNM, like, I don't really about it too much anymore, but like, really right up until the pandemic, like, some of the Greek life at UNM kind of got a bad rap.
Oh yeah, well, like one of the chapters was like on national news. It was like you can find the article super easy, but it was on like Rolling Stone magazine. It was like top 10 like worst frats in America, and like smack dab and like number 3 was like a UNM chapter.
Oh shit!
And yeah, it's not like a good rap at all.
What was so? What was that experience like for you? Like, did you start out immediately as a freshman and you went into it? Or?
Yeah, and I kind of knew I was going to get into it. There was like a few chapters I was interested in, and I was like, you kind of just narrow it down like as you go through the process. I signed up like during orientation, then they give you like a rush schedule, and then all the chapters kind of just give you like rush events that you can go to, and then from there you meet the guys, you kind of figure out a vibe like from each house, and then at like the end of like 2 weeks, like you make your decision. It's like signing day, like for like the NFL or some shit, or at least that's like how it feels. They make it feel that way.
Each house has a different bottle of liquor. I've signed on to fucking what I don't know the Greek names, but
at one point I was like in charge of like all of it. I was like the IFC president, which is like the governing like body like over all the fraternities. And I wanted to do something like that so bad. I wanted people to like go and like choose a hat like in front of like with their chapter on it, and like that's like how they decided it.
That would have been fucking hilarious.
It was cool. I really did enjoy it. I feel like I had like a really good like support system going into my chapter, so I was like, and I was just like kind of about it. If you're not about it, then like and then it's not for everyone. But
because are you living at the house?
Not initially. I was living at the dorms like when I went through like my freshman year, like the like pledging process, new member process. And everything, and then the semester after I joined is when COVID hit, and then they kicked us all out of the dorms.
Yeah,
like it was hilarious. We were like in spring break, like it was like mid-March.
Right.
We were in Mexico for spring break, and then we all got like emails saying like everything's going online now. We're like, you guys got to get the fuck out of the dorms. Like we're going remote for the time being. And like,
oh my god,
all operations are like suspended. So for Greek life and like people like shit where we had like events in person, we were like, shit, like what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
And every chapter like struggled through that like to some sense, but we eventually like we were able to have like our house open. So I was able to move into the house, and
oh, that's nice.
I was able to like that definitely like kept me in. If I like wasn't living in for like that time being, I would have definitely like fell out of this picture.
Well, that is okay. Is it surprising to me that it sounds like they had no real plan? No, that does not surprise me in the slightest, because the UNM administration is not known for the brains.
Oh, not at all.
And so when you get that email, because I'd imagine you have other friends that live in the dorms. When you get that email that says, hey, man, y'all got to get out of here by the end of spring break, what? Were people just going back to live with their parents? You've got out-of-state kids. Like, do you have any idea what other people were doing?
Both. Like, everyone was kind of like in their own situation.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to kind of move just back home with my parents on the west side. But for students that were out of state, for students that like like lived at the dorms, and like people just like kind of had to figure it out. They did make exceptions for people to keep like living there for the time being, but for the most part they were kind of just like give us your keys.
And they didn't ask for a fucking refund.
They
weren't able to get a refund. Rather,
I think they were willing just to like cut our like lease off at the time. Like,
that's good.
And like not like I don't think we had to pay for like the remaining like couple months we had on there.
That's good.
But they're like just get the fuck out of here.
It would not surprise me in the slightest. I'm sure some colleges did it where they, you pay the room and board out front, and then COVID hit, and like, oh well, COVID's not our fault. Act of God, get out.
And it was Casas del Rio, so it was like the third party dorms at UNM. Like it wasn't like directly like owned by the university, so like they could like do whatever they wanted. It wasn't like. And I don't know, they handled it like best they could. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, no, I understand how you have to sometimes, but yeah, it's just so crazy.
College campus is like, I don't know, like from the time I've been in college, I've never been like more sick, like constantly. I got sick like at least like once a month in college.
Jeez.
Like, and that hasn't happened since I've been like out of it.
I left that fucking petri dish, and now life is just better.
Yeah, well,
I feel so much better.
I moved out of my fraternity house. Like I lived there for 2 years, and half of like my like health issues like cleared up as soon as it was like funny. It was funny to like see in real time.
That's funny. So when do you COVID hits March 2020? When do you move into the frat house?
August.
Okay.
August of 2020.
And are you starting doing any type of EDM DJ music at this time?
Not yet. Not yet. So I'm
like you said you've been doing it for a year and a half, so that doesn't start until the middle of 2021.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So middle of 2021 is when I so end of 2020 up until like spring of 2021, I'm like I felt like super secluded off of the world. I was like in a really shitty relationship at the time. Once I was out of that, I was like, okay, like I'm free now. What do I do? And I was lucky enough to. I had one of my best friends, Jade. She was like, I'd like just gotten out of this, but she's like, buy a ticket to Lost Lands, and I was like, I don't know what that means, but I'll do it. So, from what all I knew initially at the time, she was like, it's this dubstep festival in Ohio, and we're going.
Yeah.
Like this September. And I was like, bet, like let's do it. And up until like that point where I was like starting to just listen to the music, I was like, I want to be like somewhat familiar of like what to expect, because I'd only been to like rap shows like prior to this, and I was still 20, so I like wasn't really going to clubs or anything. And eventually we take a trip up to Red Rocks to see Slander. It was like Slander and Eptic, and
I'm sure that was a great show.
Oh my. Talk about like a baptism. It was like,
yeah.
I went with like some of my best friends, and like seeing that, I was like, oh, like I get it. Like, I don't get it yet, but I was like, this is cool. This is really fucking cool. Everyone's all crying to Slanders, like Love Is Gone. Oh, and I was like super, like it was just super cool. It was the coolest thing ever, and for to see like, especially like coming out of like that time, I had like just seen like the world shut down, and it was super like it gave me like a lot of life. And then I was like, shit, we got Lost Lands in a couple months. And then that whole expectation was blown out of the water too. It was just the coolest thing ever.
How long were you up in Ohio for?
About a week.
Okay.
It's about like a week thing or a half week, depending on how we do it. We're about to do it in a few weeks again. Nice. And we're going for about a week.
Nice.
And seeing that, I was like, shit, like I want to kind of learn.
So for people I've never been to a festival like that. What is that whole experience like?
So, it's like getting you get blasted with about 1 million watts of dubstep out in the woods of Ohio, with like the coolest production, all the lasers you could ever expect, and just the best music ever. Even if you're not like into it like prior, you get adjusted and you like learn the culture. You learn like, I don't know, it's really like its own like experience, and only like kind of going to like will give you that.
Are you camping out there? Or are you staying at a
not motel, my first year? Or? Not my first year. We had like an Airbnb, which I thought was hilarious too, because it's like, I don't know, you see all the memes about Ohio, and like how ridiculous of a place it is. We like pulled up to our Airbnb, and all of these signs facing our Airbnb said like neighbors, or like we want our real neighbors, not Airbnb or like neighborhoods are for neighbors. And like everywhere, like every direction we look, there's like a sign like saying like get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it's like, oh, good to know we're welcome here.
Yeah,
this is why nobody fucking comes here.
Yeah. It was like the most like suburban ass neighborhood like ever too. And we just had to laugh at it, so I'm like, let's not like come back here again. So we've been like camping since, and that's entirely better because like the festival is like 40 minutes outside Columbus.
Oh shit!
So like out in like the middle of nowhere, and there's not like a lot like you could like stay around it. You can kind of just either camp or like stay in town.
Yeah. Yo, this is one of the first things that comes to my mind when it's about comfort. What is the bathroom situation like out there?
So
there's got to be a million porta shitters. I'd hope.
There's a shit ton.
I would hope.
No pun intended. There's a fucking shit ton. But I never had like any issues like with that. They take care of them like every day. Like they'll clean them out and like they'll stay fresh.
That's good.
People have like their own ways of using the bathroom out there too. But like, I don't know. We had like porta potties like 20 feet away from camp. Like there's like no excuse to like not use
Go
them.
dig a fucking hole.
No, I don't know. If I had a homie like trying that, I'd be like, dude, like just fucking, it's like right there. Like, but it was fine. The shower situation is much like a little sketchier because you have to pay to shower.
Oh.
And it's like a small. I don't know. Most of the time, I just kind of walk in.
Were they like pop-up showers?
No, they have like trailers.
Oh, okay.
And like you pay like $5 or like whatever the charge is to shower, but like you get like a real shower.
Oh, that's nice.
I went like 2 or 3 times a day because it, like, I don't know, you just feel like a new man once you're like covered in dirt and you've been out in the woods dancing all day.
Yeah.
But people don't, and it sucks. And like,
that's got to be see, and that's the one stigma that I've heard that's keeping me away from going on that shit. Because there's people that are like, nah, man, we're just out here to listen to the music and live in nature, man. And they just don't shower for fucking 4 days.
No, because like, I don't know. I remember like day 3 of like the first year we were there. And we went to like one of the small stages because like they closed the main stages down at a certain point, and it's like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And we'll pull up to like a smaller stage just to hang out, and the entire stage will stink. Like it's like hitting a wall, and we'll be like, God damn it! Like come on, there's no excuse. Like there's fucking showers here.
Oh,
and like
my God.
Can't even carry fucking deodorant. I carry like a stick of deodorant like at festivals. Like
yeah.
You're not gonna catch me fucking like that. It's like I don't know. It would like bother me.
I've been to like 2 very, very tiny EDM shows, and my first one that I went to was not a good experience. It was in Lubbock, Texas, with my girlfriend at the time. This is like years ago. This is like 2016 maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2016 maybe back. Yeah, it was 2016. Anyway, it was when the like the foam parties were really big. And so I remember us showing up, and I'm young. I'm like, fuck. I'm 18 at this point. I'm 18, about to turn 19 that year. And I remember my first time looking around and seeing how all the chicks are dressed. I'm like, all right, I can't stare too long at anything. I'm not going to hear the fucking end of it. And so we're with her and all our friends, and we get to like the top of this like, this slanted hill, so this full thing of grass. And I remember like everyone started coming in, like the openers were playing and stuff like that. And then the crowd started like growing big, like in the pit area, and they were starting to spray the foam and shit. And I was like, I look at her and I remember going, we're not getting sprayed, right? That looks like a horrible idea. And she's like, why? It'll be fun. I'm like, I will literally put you in front of me. Like, I am not going to get sprayed with some mysterious substance that I know is going to make me sticky as fuck. And I'm like, it is not like terribly hot, because this was like April.
Okay, but it's
right?
Like, it's getting there.
It's getting there. So it was like, it might have peaked at like 90-ish, right? But at night, it only cooled down to like 82 by the time we left. And so I was like, yeah, we're not doing this. Like, I'm going to get fucking soaked in this sticky substance and then sweat my ass off and then go into my car and then drive us, because our fucking hotel, she gave me the wrong venue and I was booking the hotel. So the hotel's 30 minutes away. And I didn't find this out till the day of. So I was like, fuck, are you kidding me?
Damn it.
So I'm like, I'm not going to drive 30 minutes sticking to my seats because you wanted to get, no. So anyway, and then it's funny because the reason I bring this up is the smell. Dude, we were there for like 3 fucking hours. Maybe. And as we're approaching like the more center of the pit, it's like, dog, fucking wipe your pussy. What the fuck is going on in here, bro? Yeah, so that was not a great experience.
That's uncommon. That's like...
That was not a good
experience. It's rare you run
into
it. Like, I don't know, you kind of let it go, like, day 3 of the festival, like, when... Like, you realize, like, people haven't been camping, but, like, for a local show...
Yeah, a local show, it was bad. And
that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, I try to chalk that up to, like, all right, these people just... Because it was, like, exclusively young college kids. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there was anyone there over the age of 23, 24. There was no way. And I remember looking around and like, this is horrible. This is not a good fucking time. And yeah, it's not good. Anyway, so Lost Lands is like your real, like, I mean, not that Red Rocks is not a real experience, but that I would kill to fucking see a show at Red Rocks.
It's, you know, it's really like its own thing. As like an artist too, it's like I want to play that fucking one day. And seeing it like for like several shows at a certain point, I'm like, I'm gonna fucking.
What else have you seen there?
I saw BTSM.
Okay.
Black Tiger, Sex Machine. Who else was like opening that day? It was like Yuki and Kaiwachi, but it was like the last show that they did at Red Rocks.
That's sick.
And I've seen like those two. I haven't been up in a while. I need to like make my way up there again, but it is the coolest fucking thing ever.
One of my favorite live albums of all time. It came, I think it's like 2018, 2019. Disturbed at Red Rocks. Yeah. Oh my God.
Every musician should have that stage at some point, like with the most production possible. Like everyone deserves like to have that space, but you gotta fucking work your ass off for it.
Oh yeah. Well, I was shocked to see, like, 'cause I'm a big fan of stand up, and I was shocked to see that Bill Burr played Red Rocks.
Oh yeah, I watched that Netflix special.
Yeah, killer. I would have, and my buddy, his now wife, I think they were just engaged at the time. They went up to go see it because his dad surprised him with tickets for I think it was his birthday. Yeah, his birthday. Surprised him with tickets, and he didn't tell me. And then I remember I get a text from him that night, and he goes, "Hey, guess where I'm going?" I'm like, "Where?" Because we grew up watching Bill Burr like in high school, right? Mm-hmm. Let me go see Bill Burr at Red Rocks. I'm like, go fuck yourself. And he sends me. He got up and he sent me a picture of like the whole setup, and I was like, man. Fuck you. I am so jealous right now.
I saw South Park had like an anniversary like concert there too. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that is nuts. Yeah. That's just so cool.
How talented are those two fucking guys? Trey Stone and Matt Parker.
Funniest fucking people ever. I love how like nothing's off limits with them.
Yeah.
Like it's good for society that they can make fun of everything.
Like I loved it. I think it was the season they did right before the pandemic where it was because the big thing about like the border wall and the kids in the cages and all that stuff. So they were doing the Mexican Joker because the Joker movie was coming out. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I fucking love that. Like that episode. And then obviously you have like the classics, like the Make Love Not Warcraft episode. I just watched like 2 weeks ago. I rewatched the episode where, what's the kid's name? It's not one of the main four. It's
Butters.
No, it's I'm gonna remember it like at 2:00 in the morning when I can't sleep tonight. But one of the kids, he kept leaving his toilet seat up, and the mom was like, "You need to put it down. You need to put it down." Yeah. And like the running joke, she even like shows up to his school.
Is it Stan?
No, it was one of the other kids that wears like a blue shirt. Anyway, that night he doesn't fucking put the toilet seat down, and his mom falls in, and she gets stuck. So like, I'm sorry, like the EMT's like, I'm sorry, so the only way we can get out of here is to flush it. And so they flush the toilet. It sucks her intestines out of her asshole, and then they bury her. They put her in the casket with the toilet seat. It's so fucking stupid.
I thought it was hilarious when fucking Randy was getting like harassed by the TSA, like when he was like trying to use the bathroom.
Oh yeah, I need to check your asshole.
So wearing a fucking seatbelt.
That show's fucking undefeated.
But
dude.
those two are some of the funniest fucking writers. Like,
oh yeah,
just ever.
Well, it's interesting because I remember there's this video. It resurfaced like I think a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it's them giving a college lecture, and they're talking to these kids in an auditorium, and they're like, "Hey, I'm assuming it's a screenwriting class of some sort," and they're like, "Look, this is how you structure a good story to where it makes sense and it flows well." And he goes, "You'll think about this the next time you watch a movie you don't like. Think about how things are unfolding. Most of the time, if you don't like it, it's because this is happening, and then this, and then this, and then this, and now we're here, and now it's over." He goes, "But if we're writing an episode, we're going to start out with the characters in a certain situation, and they'll act out the situation, or the situation is going to act upon them. Because of that, this happens. Therefore, this happens." Yeah. And then if you do that long enough,
cause and effect. Yeah. Style of like flow.
Yes, and he goes, it flows exactly. It flows better together, and then eventually you'll have a full-fledged story that has meaning and it makes sense. Most importantly, shit like that.
Same one goes for like music too. Like, you hear a song you don't like, there's like reasons why like you don't like the fucking song. It could be like, it just could be a flow thing. It could just be like an incomplete idea. Yeah. Same with like a live set too. Like, you kind of just can tell. A lot of DJs like will sell you right away and then lose you, or they just keep selling you all the way through.
There is nothing fucking worse at a show. I mean, obviously there'd be a lot of bad things, but like music wise for me, like, if the set is just flowing really well, and then there's just a song in the middle that completely breaks the rhythm, and then they try to recapture the rhythm they had, 3 to 6 minutes ago. And it's like, fuck. Well, we kind of derailed the train here a little bit, bud.
Well, shit happens. Like, and the amount of times like I've done shows, it's like random shit will just like throw you off, and it could be equipment failure. It could just be like, I don't know, random situations. Like, we were just at, my friends and I were just at EDC in May up in Vegas, and it was OG Nixon's set. We were like at this little art car, like watching him throw down. And we
feel free to keep going. I'm just gonna check the cameras real quick.
We loved OG Nixon, so like we're expecting a blast like at this guy, and in the middle of his set, someone had like set up a proposal with him apparently, and they couldn't find him. So like there was like a time like that they probably like discussed like, I don't know, say like 1:15 that they were gonna like, he was gonna stop the set and they were gonna do like the proposal, and they're like, "Hey, like, where are you?" Like, we're fucking looking for you. We're gonna continue on at some point, and eventually like they like find him, and the girl says like yes and over, but it's like botched. It's completely botched of a proposal, and G Nixon gets on the mic and he's like, "Oh no, guys, nobody's ever proposed during my set before. Like, I don't know what to tell you." And then he just kind of like continues on. But I was like, "Damn, fuck, I feel bad for that couple."
I was gonna say, if I was that dude, I would have felt like a fucking asshole.
Well, I was like, you should have like just been on your shit. Like, you should have been where you're supposed to be, because like it seemed like they had a plan and it just went to shit. Yeah. And I don't know, for DJs are supposed to be able to like get back the flow as soon as possible, and like he did. But shit just happens, and you learn to adjust.
That's fucking that sucks. I would have felt like such a little prick if I was that guy, because then it's like not only do you embarrass yourself, you're embarrassing your chick too.
Yeah, no, because it looked like rushed. Like, it looked like eventually that they're like, we're gonna have to move on whether you like do this or not. Yeah. And oh my god, I spent like days trying to like track down a video of it on like Twitter or something, but like. My friends and I like that saw it. We're like, oh my god, like, take note never to try to set up a proposal during OG Nixon's set. So okay, let's see. So 2021, what led you to start like make the decision that you're gonna start doing like EDM stuff, learning about it, actually learning and like practicing it? I started DJing for my fraternity first. Nice. So my fraternity threw a Halloween bash with a huge sound system and like hundreds of people coming, but they did not hire a DJ. And like I showed them, I'm like, okay, like who's like running the like music, and they're like, "We thought you were." I was like, okay. like I never agreed to that like prior, but like I'll give it a stab. So like I went and like got my laptop and like pulled up iTunes and I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna run aux like as best as I can, like for this fucking thing. Next thing I knew, it was like the most packed room I'd ever seen, and I'm like, oh shit, like I like can't like fumble the bag here, but I'm like, nothing better than just being like thrown in the mix for it. So after that, I was like, okay, like there's like a way to do this a little more like seriously and like.
Do you like being in front of a crowd?
Oh yeah, no, I feel comfortable too, and I think that's like a big thing, like just being able to be in front of a bunch of people, and also be able to like kind of be doing like several things at once. So I started building playlists. I started DJing at like my friend Giselle's house, just like doing like small gatherings and stuff, like also just like bigger parties too. And then it became formals. I started getting like asked to like do formals. Eventually got like my own like set of decks and like a sound system. So I'm like, okay, I have like a mobile setup to like bring this stuff. And then I eventually got booked for a spring break thing in like Lake Havasu, which was like my first like real gig. Like,
wait, where was that at?
It was in Lake Havasu at like this resort, Arizona.
Oh, okay.
In Arizona. So it was like a college spring break getaway. So a bunch of universities ended up like going. So it was like UNM. There was like some schools from California, a couple from like Arizona, but like
just fucking debauchery.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. So this is like my first like real like gig. They booked me for like 4 days straight, and this is like a professional level booking. So I was expected to like have professional like level experience, and I did not. Shit. They like most that they had heard from me was like word of mouth, and like my friends like kind of being like book this guy.
He's really
like,
good.
Yeah. And they're like, fuck it, there's room on the schedule. There's like these other big DJs there, like I know Shipwreck was there, Don Bresky was there. People that I didn't realize like how big they were until like after the fact. Because like Shipwreck played like main stage UDC this year, and I was like, I was like, damn, like these guys like were just there a year ago. And I remember pulling up, and I'm like, oh shit, like the equipment is fucking nuts. They're called CDJs, and I was like, oh my god, like it looks like a spaceship up here. I'm used to like my little beginner deck, and like my laptop, and I'm like, I like it was like watching YouTube videos like on the ride there, like on like how to use this stuff. And you get used to it, like, after, like, kind of just, like, seeing, like, where stuff was. But I'm the guy that pulled up and played, like, nasty dubstep at, like, this pool. Like, on, like, a huge sound system. Like, and just, like, completely just, like, not like obliterated, but I was like, I'm gonna do my own thing here. And the week went sick. Like, it was really cool. People knew me as, like, the dubstep guy coming out of that. And once I had, like, footage and, like, that kind of experience behind my belt, my bookings like in town, like once I was like back here, it kind of like just started to pick up and snowball a little better.
Yeah, just from word of mouth, that social media.
Word of mouth, social media. Also, I was just kind of like still in the middle of like my junior year of college too, so I'm like in the perfect spot to be like starting this out. And then EDC happened, so one of the videos from like Havasu of like this like live double I did got like really popular on TikTok for some reason. It just kind of blew up and got me a lot of attention. And a DJ who was playing EDC saw it, and he was like, hey, like, can you like send me this like as a mashup or whatever? And so I'm like, bet. Like, he was like, I'm playing EDC, like send it to me. So I sent him over like the file, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna be there like anyway, like I'll go like see this like get played out. So I go, like it was like the last day of the festival, and one of my best friends, Michaela, she comes with me like to go to this like art car and see the set, and he's throwing the fuck down. I'm like, this guy's pretty fucking cool. I'm like gonna follow him like after the fact, and I introduced myself, and he was like, oh, you're the dude like from that we like talked to on TikTok, and he was like, I don't have your mashup. Do you have it? And I'm like, so I dig out like my USB like from the bottom of like my fanny pack that I've been like carrying around this festival, and I was like, I do. I was like, I fucking do. And it's like a common thing for like DJs to like carry around, like even if you're not playing a thing, just like kind of have your USB with you, just for like not for shits and gigs, but like just in case like there's decks you get to plug in, and it's easy, and it's like a good luck charm too. And so I end up like plugging in. I look out to the crowd, and there's like thousands of fucking people, and I'm like, how am I like here right now? This is like every like young DJ's dream to like get thrown up like in this mix. So we ended up playing it out, and it was like fuck. Like after this, I was like, I have to take this like way more serious than I like have been.
You got a small taste of what it could look like.
Yes, and I was like, I don't want to like I need to experience that again. I was like, I can't just like let that go and be like the one time I play EDC. Like I want to be back.
Yeah. Because you got that high, like the first initial dopamine, or not the first dopamine, like the real, like you got a first real taste of what one of the largest festivals in the world feels like. For how long were you up there for?
Like 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
But it was like oh shit, yeah. The crowd just looked like it just went on forever.
You just look past. You get to look behind the curtain a little bit, like, oh fuck, it's like, so cool.
It was like the perfect, like just amount of like taste like I needed to like keep going.
Motivation.
And I was so early on, like I'd only had like Dex for like 5 months at that point, and it felt so undeserving. But I was like, I need to like be back, and I'm gonna work my ass off to like get there.
That's awesome.
And
maybe that's I'm not a fucking like energy or universe or astrology guy, but maybe life gave you that opportunity for a reason.
I think so.
You know, it felt kick you in the ass a little bit, like, hey, this is what you could have. Now, how bad do you actually want it?
Because like you get that initially like right away, and then I come back to town, and then I'm still playing local shows opening local shows for 5-10 people, and that grows on. And I'm like mostly like the guy that fills the room for a while, and it's not like hard to like go back to. Like I love like playing those slots, but like like how big it can get.
Yeah. Well, and if you act on it right, and you obviously care about what you're doing, but if you act on that right and you're in the right mindset, I'd imagine you kind of bring some of that energy of a huge crowd back with you. And that only helps you make a better show and make a better production.
Well, you gotta think like a headliner if you want to be a headliner. Yeah. And I've had the opportunity to Still Sad, they've had me do like stage takeovers at FX. So I got like a couple tastes of like being like able to like run my own stage a couple times, and that's like it's cool. I get to like curate like a lineup of like my homies. I get to like close the show off, and like
that's gotta be awesome. You to put your friends on and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's so fun. Like I don't know, EDM's one of those things like where your friends are your competition.
Yeah,
and like you only want each other to do well. Like just like so we do well, but also it puts on a better show for the scene.
Well, and what I've noticed is in the music community here in general, the people at the top have that mindset where you can be you make friends with those around you, make friends with your colleagues, but also have that competitive mindset as well. Because you're right, if you guys are just making each other better, that overall show will turn a better product, and people are just keep coming back to see you.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Like, I don't know. I would hate to like pay money to go to a show and it suck.
Which is a lot of shows in Albuquerque.
And I get that too, but like I don't know. I have so much like hope for it, and like I know the potential like everyone has. Yeah. We kind of just need to get there, but that's why we're kind of on each other about shit. Like. I don't know, I would want my homies to tell me if my song sucked and be like honest about it, because how else am I gonna like get to the next level without a second set of years and stuff.
And that's what's gonna keep you on an upper trajectory, is having that mindset. You don't want yes men around you. Yeah. I mean, I want to know if like the quality of this is going down. I was just talking to my buddies about this. I have some friends, they're in a band called the Slums of Harvard, and they just played Marble Fest. And they were very critical. I think they put on a good show. I saw some missteps, and they like only saw their missteps because they're the performers. Mm-hmm. But I was talking to a few of them after it, and I was talking with the drummer, Nick, and he said the same thing. He's like, I appreciate you not, just tell me what I want to hear. I need to know like what went wrong, because I'm seeing only what went wrong.
Most of the time, you kind of know initially like what went wrong, and like a lot of times the crowd will miss it. So like that's like when you bring it up.
And that's what I was telling him. I was like, look, your stage, and I tell all my musician friends, is like, if you guys just keep up your stage performance and your presence and your ability and your energy is up, you are present in the moment, you're energetic, you're enthusiastic, you want to be there, you're happy, whether it's a crowd of 5 people or 50 people, you're happy they're all there. If you make a couple of mistakes, but overall you still sound good, you're going to have a good show. These people are still going to like you.
Yeah, no one's like leaving the show saying like, Oh, that was an amazing show, except for when SHATODOOR did not miss he missed a fucking beat match on that one double at the beginning of his set, and I never forgot it. Like, people aren't like that, but you remember where you messed up. You know where you need to like kind of correct like going forward, but it would be a misstep to like ignore those and then not practice.
Yeah. So how do you put a set together? I mean, you just said like I have no idea what a beat match is or anything like that. So how are you let's start with your songs. How are you making your songs, and then let's take that into how are you creating a set list?
I started DJing before I started producing, so I kind of like carry a lot of like kind of a DJ mentality into like the way I produce. I've also had help with like a lot of collabs and other producers that like will fill me in on stuff that like I really need to, because I think like a DJ, like I think of like the overall set, and like obviously like the songs you pick are like the mostly important part, but like I think like a DJ in the way like I get in and out of songs, and like the way I like my songs are supposed to kind of flow into each other too. So mostly like what I'll look at first is who I'm opening up for. If it's like my own headline show, I'm gonna do whatever I want. If I'm opening for a rhythm DJ, I'm gonna play a lot more rhythm stuff. If I'm opening for a more melodic DJ, then I'm gonna curate like my set to like that. So overall, like the night will flow with relatively the same genre and like flow of like the night.
Well, if you're not the headliner, you need to support the headliner.
Yeah,
because you're like supporting the show as a whole.
There's a lot of unspoken rules, like I don't know. It's been like a thing for or a critique of a lot of openers to not go hard or like not like bring the same energy of like a headliner, but I think that's kind of just bullshit.
Well, I feel like the people that put that out there are people that don't want others to be better than them.
It's a very insecure mindset, and like the headliners that like I don't know. I reach out to a lot of people I'm like opening it for and be like, what do you like think of this? And most of the time they'll just be like, just do your thing, like just like bring your own style and like go as hard as possible.
Well, if there's a headliner that's telling anyone like not below, but like on the bottom of the bill, right? It's coming on before them. If there's a headliner that's telling them, hey, don't go as hard, or hey, don't do as well, tone it back. Yeah, it's insecurity. Mm-hmm. And then especially if they say that or just have that mindset in general, and one of their openers is better than them, maybe it's time for you to step out of the way or get better.
Or it's just a bad booking too. Like you wouldn't book me to open up for like a country artist. like that's just like
that's just a total mismatch.
Yeah, that's a total like
well, I'm just saying like in general, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot I think and it's prevalent here, I would imagine, in small communities of entertainment, that there are headliners that want to stay there and they don't want anyone to knock them off and they don't want anyone else to succeed because they like being the big fish in a little pond.
I get that, but it's like, at the same time, you should just be able to bring your own style. And
you should 100%.
If you're playing like these slots too, you should have your own style. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just did Level Up and Vastive over at Electric Playhouse, and
I have yet to go there, but I really want to.
It's so cool. That was my second time playing there, and I want to be back. It's just so fun.
I've heard it's like a louder Meow Wolf.
It's so the sound there is sick. The production just next level because of the projection.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. Like it's a more like.
It's very vibrant.
And vibrant, like in your face.
Like even in Meow Wolf, like you know how dark it is. Mm-hmm. It's not like that. It's very like. It's very interactive too. You could like kind of go up to the walls and like mess with it, and like kind of like it's a really trippy place.
That's cool.
So playing there is cool because there's like a lot of shit you can do. There's like a games like area where you could like play like these projected like map games. There's a bar. There's just like shit to like hang out in.
So if you're performing there, are you able to fuck with the visuals on the walls and all that?
There's a guy doing it.
And okay.
So I have like my own like visual packages that like I'll give to the visual jockeys that like, because I'm the DJ at like the front of the stage. There's always someone like at these shows like in the back who's the VJ who's running all the visuals. So I give them my logo, like my like custom loops. I also just like kind of try to work with them to, like just to be like on brand.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. I had no idea. I've always thought that the guy up there is running all the visuals and all the music.
No, we're running the music up there. There's like some artists that like will run visuals like live from on stage too, but mostly it's like someone in backup production doing it. Interesting. And I've worked with Gary from Electric Playhouse. He does a lot of the visuals there, and they are beautiful. Like he gives me like anime style like fight scenes.
That's sick.
In the back of like my dubstep show, and it looks sick. Like it like fits it like so well, and like not a lot of people like have that like as like their backing visuals. So
that's shocking. How like popular
I love it.
It is. That's awesome.
Yeah. So there's like always someone like kind of doing that in the back of shows.
Do you watch any yourself, just out of curiosity? Do you dabble at all?
Not really. I've tried. I just love kind of the way it looks.
Yeah.
But like I need to kind of like give it more shot.
The one is I'm more of a comic book guy, if you haven't noticed. I'm more of a comic book guy than I am anime, but the one that I tell, especially guys, because I've yet to meet a dude that has either read it or watched it that didn't fall in love with it, and it's Berserk. Berserk is the fucking shit. It is literally just a jacked dude with a big sword, and he kills monsters.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It is the most like, and it gets way out of control from there, and it's really, especially like, because there's a 90s anime, it's like 20 episodes, and it's all on YouTube for free.
Oof,
and then the movies, there's 3 newer movies they made that's literally the same story, just in movie format, and they bounce around between like Netflix and Hulu. And it's fucking brutal as shit. It's heartbreaking as fuck. Very like visceral, and like I at one point just like extremely graphic. Like but it's sick. And then the books themselves, they've been like, 'cause obviously like, the mangas come like in those little paperbacks, but I like collecting the bigger formats, and they've been putting them out in these like big, like probably about that tall or so, and about like that thick, of these leather-bound books, like oversized art and shit like that. Oh, dude, it's so good.
Fuck yeah.
Like, that shit's dope. And then that portrait back there is from Chainsaw Man, and that's a good one too. A little bit more on like the I hate the stereotype, but it's a little bit more on the Japanese side of things, where they have like that type of shit. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But it's still dope because, like, as you can tell, it's fucking violent, and it's about this guy. Like, it's like a world where there's like specific types of demons, and they can live in somebody. So that dude's got the chainsaw demon inside of him. So when he fights people, he like rips open his shirt and revs his chainsaw, and it like comes out of his mouth. And then he gets chainsaws out of his hands, and he just fucks people. Dude, it's so cool.
Fuck yeah.
It's so fucking cool. And that's what I love about, like, I don't get in, like, I know people that will only watch anime, and that is their fucking life, and respect to them, because they will go down Netflix or go down Hulu and just, regardless, no discrimination, right? Mm-hmm. I tend to like the stuff that's a little bit more like on the comic booky side, right? Just because that's what I know and what I love and shit. And it's so fucking cool. And it's so creative too. Like that culture just breathe. Like their like archetype, like character archetype, I guess, and like the way they format stories, and a lot of the tropes, I guess, that are so distinctly Japanese, and they're so creative. And it's just, it's the shit.
I need to give it another stab. I watched one during the pandemic. I think Devilman Crybaby. I watched that. It was on Netflix.
Okay.
It's pretty short series, but once it was done, I was like, well, like what? What now? But oh no, it's cool. So all of my friends like who are into anime, and then they'll like see like the visuals like behind me at shows, and they'd be like, what the fuck? Like I was like just watching that.
That adds like another like. If you can, I've noticed that of the shows in general, right, regardless of the music, if you can add a pop culture thing that's niche enough to where there's like the pocket of people that if they're there that really love it, you made their day, right? Made their night. Yeah. But then it's, it's cool enough so that even if you don't know what that was, you say, hey, that's fucking cool. That works.
Yeah, at that same level up show, I don't know. In my sets, I like to like just keep things interesting and like throw in like references that like you would get. I don't know. Rated R just dropped a remix of Barbie Girl, and I was like, this is like the perfect time like to fucking play like something like this. And in there's like an ad lib of like, and his name is John Cena. And I'm like shit like so that. Stupid. Yeah, shit like that. Like it's like hilarious to me. But like when you're in like you got a crowd that is like at like the perfect time, like ready for that stuff, like it's just no brainer to play. But I like to make fucking jokes like that too.
That's awesome. So how long are your sets typically?
Mostly an hour. Most
Okay.
most like opening slots are about an hour. I played a couple that are like an hour and a half, and that's like kind of like pushing it a little bit. Hour 15 is my favorite amount to play because it like an hour can feel a little rushed at times, especially if you need to fill up the room first, and like you only kind of like end up with a decent like crowd with like the last like 30-20 minutes of your set, and then you're like, okay, like I only have like a few like stuff left to play, but hour 15 is like kind of my favorite. Just doesn't feel rushed. It feels like I could like get in everything. I could have the right amount of breaks. It doesn't feel like I don't know. It feels like I could just like do my thing with that amount of time.
Okay. And so what are you doing up there while you're performing? Because I know there's a big stereotype like y'all just plug in your iPod and press play and you act like you're doing something.
There's a lot. There's a lot you could be doing.
Yeah.
It like really depends like on the DJ and like their style. I like to so Dave's show. I pull up for a sound check. I have like USB and like a few backups like just in case because like they can USB's corrupt and like they're not like the most reliable piece of technology.
Yeah.
So when I pull up on stage, I plug in my headphones so I have like a way of like hearing like what's like going out to the crowd also before like it even goes out to the crowd. I have each individual like CDJ is what you pull up a song on, and then there's
I'm sorry, say it again.
So CDJs are like the deck.
Oh, right, the decks. Okay,
so,
right.
There's usually 4. It's like kind of standard. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 2. But like most standard, there's 4 of these, and a mixer in the middle with 4 channels. So for one for each song that like you could possibly be playing, on there like on the big spaceship looking machine is the EQs. So like that's how you could like take out like certain sounds or certain like frequencies to make it like sound clean and. You got your volume knobs, you got effects like echoes and your reverb, and there's lots of like opportunities to like kind of do whatever. And lots of DJs will just go up there and mix one song into another, into another, into another. I like to do doubles a lot, so like that means like playing like 2 songs at once and like doing double drops at a time. So we're all like like I said, I mentioned beat matching earlier. That's like how you match like the drums of a song with like another song. So like if you play them together, they sound in sync. There's a big thing DJs are not supposed to use the sync button because there's a button on there that like will do it for you, but you're supposed to do it yourself.
Why? Just
because
a pride thing.
Yeah, that and like just because it's like I don't know. People will complain.
Yeah.
I don't like to use it because I feel like it messes up like other stuff. Like so there's like 2 main softwares like in DJing. There's Serato and there's Record Blocks. I learned on Serato, and that's like mainly for like hip hop DJs, mostly like hip hop and like DJs like will use that opposed to like Record Blocks for like more EDM DJs. If you press the sync on Serato, it lines up like the grids like of a song. Like you see like the waveform, and it'll like match the grids with another, and it's like how you think like sync is supposed to work, but if you do it on Record Box, like on like a club setup or like a concert setup, it just does different shit. and so like everyone's like, I don't know, if you have to like kind of see it, but it like will mess up everything. And there's like you have to like be pressing a bunch of stuff to like try to undo it. So I'm like, I experienced that once, and I was like, I'm not even gonna touch this button again. It's just like way too much of a hassle to even like try to do. So you learn to beat match by ear and like without it. And there's like way other stuff you could look at like to help you, but you don't press the fucking sync button. Especially if like say like the DJ like before me like leaves it on, like you'll like load up songs and shit will just be like wrong.
Oh shit.
And like so there's like reasons like why not to, but like better not fucking press that fucking sync button.
So are you, when you're practicing your set, are you doing like everything you would do on stage? Are you doing that during your practice?
Yeah. No, most of my practice is like I'll pre-plan my sets as much as like I could, or at least like have like a playlist of the songs I'm gonna play. Make sure like I have like cue points on all of them, so like I know how to get in and out of songs. But I'll practice it like meticulously, especially if I have like a pretty like limited time span. Like for my level up show just a couple weeks ago, I had 45 minutes, and I was like, I want to. This is like going to be like one of the biggest crowds I've like had in a while. I want to like fit in everything I can into 45 minutes. So I practiced mostly like for time, and I ended up with like once I got to like 44 and like a half minutes, I was like, okay, like I'm ready for the show.
Nice.
But like when I was hitting like 48, 50 minutes, I was like, I still like need to have room to like work on this.
You need to tighten it up.
Yeah, I tighten it up, and also just like cut out certain songs. You add in also like day of show. You're like, oh, I want to play this, and you got to learn how to work it in, or like be ready to like if you want to.
So, and like you said before, there's so much you can do while you're up there. So much like variety of like effects and changes, and you know, let's say you're playing a set and the crowd isn't responding the way you thought that they would. How are you like on the fly making changes? Like, how did you teach yourself that, and then what is it like in practice?
I mostly felt that when I was more of like a frat DJ, when I was like playing like more like house parties and stuff, because EDM isn't for everybody. I can't like play dubstep for everyone, especially like in those settings. So you learn like to kind of ease into EDM a little bit, like more like house music stuff, and then like learn how to get out, play like more poppy stuff, more radio hits and stuff like that. So I don't know, people like will have a lot of audacity with DJs too, and like will be like, turn this fucking shit off, or like play Bad Bunny, or like I want my fucking Bad Bunny and I want it now. like I don't know, I dealt with a lot of like audacity that way. So like I don't know, you learn to adapt, but like most of the time you're just kind of confident enough in like what you're doing. I don't really run into that in like shows that I do now. Most of the time I'm up on stage and I have lots of production, and I'm like, people aren't really like too concerned with like song requests. But if you're like the DJ at the house party, people will come up and be like, I don't know, people will mess with you. Like, what's an example? Oh, I was playing like some after party, and some girl came up to me during my set, and I'm like, I'm already dealing with like a bunch of shit. Like my equipment like wasn't like, it was like kind of slow, and my laptop was like acting kind of slow. And this girl was like, "Give me something to do," and I was like, "Where are your friends?"
I get why they left you and why they abandoned you.
She was like, "Give me something to do to like DJ," and I was like,
"What the fuck?"
I was like, "I don't even know like where to start." And she was like mad that like I wouldn't like give her a task, and I'm like, oh. I don't know. I don't even know what to tell you.
You can get me a drink if you like.
Yeah, that didn't even cross my mind. But she was like, "Give me something like to." She wanted to like mess with like my speakers and stuff. And I was like, "This is not the time or place." And like by the time like that happened, like my patience was already kind of out the door. So I don't know. I had one. I was playing like, what the hell was I playing? It was something I play like generic music at. It wasn't like a big dubstep show, but it was like, it was like a banquet, like after party for like a track meet was going on. Like it was a weird booking. It was a really weird booking, but I was like still early enough in my DJ career where I was like, they're paying me. So I went and did it, and this girl came up and she was like, play like the Cupid Shuffle. and I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm like many other DJs will, but I don't even have it. I'm not going to go look for it and buy it for like this request.
No.
So she was like, I'm going to get my coach. And I was like, go get him. I was like, go fucking go tell your track coach. Mind you, these were kids that were like going to like play college.
I was gonna say, how old are these people?
They're like at least 17, 18. Like they were like it was like a pretty sophisticated track meet, and like most of them are gonna be running in college. Like, so I'm like, these are like kind of the top of the line like track athletes for like high school.
A top of the line fucking attitude.
Oh yeah,
as well, huh?
Quite entitled, I would say. Wanted to hear the fucking Cupid Shuffle, and I was like, go get your fucking coach. I was like, I want to see like go tell him that I'm not playing the Cupid Shuffle, and like I want to see the tantrum like that.
Like, I want you to hear how stupid you sound.
Exactly. And
please repeat yourself.
I was like, this person's never been told no in their life.
Oh, God. There's too many of those fucking people in this world, man.
Exactly, yeah.
So what has DJing been like for you recently?
It's snowballed a lot. And I feel like I'm like finally playing like the slots I like deserve. Not like that I didn't like feel that way when I was like starting, but I'm like
no, but your skill is starting to meet your ambition.
Yeah, it really is. And like things are just kind of coming together easier. Like I pull up to shows now and I feel a lot more confident than I like originally did.
That's awesome.
I feel just a lot more like, especially on a practice kind of covers everything. So like I know like when I need to practice more or if I like have more things to tweak when I upload to live shows. But I feel like I'm putting on the level of show that I'm supposed to.
Nice.
And it's snowballed. I've been booked so much recently, and like I think this like next weekend is like first time I haven't been like booked in a while, and it's really snowballed. And I've like done my best to like I don't know. Well, I have really good friends that come to like every show. Like they really support like what I'm doing, and like within our friend group too, we have like several other DJs. So we most of the time like we like to play together. We'll do a lot of back to backs together, and it's just more fun for us too. But that support like really means everything. And also, if they're coming to these shows like so constantly, I would hate to like do the same show twice. Yeah. And like I hope like each of my shows are just getting a little bit more refined than the last. Yeah. And I don't know. I genuinely like hope like that's like where it's going, but like it feels like it is. Like I'm feeling I'm like right where I'm like supposed to be like this early on.
I mean, that's gonna be a good feeling.
It really does. You know? And I don't know, comparison's like a thief of joy.
Yeah.
So I try not to like there's a lot of DJs like my age that are like doing way more cool shit. But I'm like, it'll happen like when it's time.
Well, I think so you're completely right. Comparison is a thief of joy, but I think you should compare yourself to who you were last week, last month.
I look at like videos of me DJing like really early on, and like I know like I'm cringing fucking hard. And, but that's a good thing. Like I should be cringing at like what I started doing and like knowing what I know now.
See, because I have a very rough time, like, excuse me, whether it's looking at footage of podcasts that I do now, whether it's looking at footage of stand-up that I do, or it's looking at... So I refuse to look at podcasts that I've done below, like, number 50.
I get that.
I fucking refuse because first of all, it's horrible quality. But B, I look like a dork. Like
I feel that so much. Like, yeah, no, there's times like on a more I'm more embarrassed of like my like SoundCloud rap days and like I am like my DJ days, but like that's like the shit. And I know like my shows now are just better. Yeah. And it's a good feeling, but like I know the trajectory you're like supposed to be on.
Yeah, and then especially if you look back and you feel like you used to do better than you are now, then it's like, okay, I see what I'm capable of. Why am I no longer reaching that?
I felt that at one point. There was a period of time I wasn't getting like as booked as I thought I should be. And I was like, not really on like a hiatus, but I was like, I'm not like on the consistency that like I was before. And I'm like, what do I need to do? I was like, it's back to the drawing board. It's back to working on my mixes better. It's back to like, you got to kind of be impossible to ignore. And once you're impossible to ignore, like you get what you deserve. And like, it's a good thing.
How much, when you were looking back at that and you're like, man, I don't know why I'm not getting booked. I don't know what's going on. How much responsibility of that did you take on yourself?
It was on me. And it was also like in a lot of the opportunities like in town too. Cause like the local DJs, like we rely on like the promoters to like be putting these shows on. It's like, it's a lot of work to be put on like your own show. And like the promoters just kind of take care of that just so we could like do our job. Like the guys at Viva and Astral, they do an amazing job at putting like us on. Also just kind of giving the locals an opportunity to like show what we can do. And if there's not a lot of tours coming to town, it's like really on like us to like make ourselves and put ourselves in front of an audience.
Well, that's good because there are so many people, regardless of what they're doing, whether it's a creative project or it's like a 9-to-5 job or raising a family, whatever they're trying to do in their life. And if things are going wrong, they will do everything except accepting responsibility. Mm-hmm. No, it's because of that. It's because of this. No, they just don't understand. My situation is like this. Da, 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 da. It's like, no.
There's only some amount of excuses that you can like make. Well, like it all chucks down to like, yeah, life happens. Yeah. And it really like can't like will hit sometimes, but I don't know, my passion just kind of drives through that a little bit. I'm like, I would hate to be 6 more months down the line and have like a month of work done.
Yeah. Well, it's different for everybody, but for me, life is just easier if I just say I'm no matter what the situation is. Like obviously I'm not gonna roll over and just take shit, or I'm not gonna like just take the blame every time for something. Especially if I didn't do anything. Yeah. Obviously I'm an advocate for myself, but if I'm in a situation that I don't like, and I can comfortably say, you know what, fuck it, this was my fault. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna fix this. Whatever the situation is, I'm gonna do what I can and just move on. Mm-hmm. It's easier to do that.
It really is.
It really go find an excuse or find a thing to blame or a person to, attach this to.
I don't know. Some people, accountability just doesn't come naturally. Yeah. And the easier it is on, like, I don't know, accountability doesn't have to be, like, that hard on you.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. It's, like, half the time it's, like, not that deep either.
Well, and in the long run, it's easier for you.
Yeah.
It's easier.
Yeah. And then it's just, what do you do next? Like, you kind of have to do something.
Yeah.
First thing should be taking accountability. I don't know. A lot of things are just kind of out of your control too, but like just accept it and roll with the punches.
So one thing I want to talk about before we get out of here is, so you used to work or you've done work with like troubled youth? Or?
It was like, it's called, the first organization was called Breaking Code Silence. So
Breaking Code Silence?
Yes. Okay. Eventually I became Unsilenced. It's like what I'm like, advocate like with now.
Okay.
So essentially the mission is in the U.S. There's lots of behavioral healthcare facilities that are like lockdown facilities for teenagers. Mostly like it's like I don't know. It's like ages 8 to like 18. And the foster system uses it. The juvenile court system uses it. Also, private insurance and private pay will fund these places. They're very fraudulent in how they operate. They're not like the typical psychiatric like hospital that is well regulated and has lots of resources. Most of them are out in the middle of fucking nowhere in Utah and the Midwest, Bible Belt of America. A lot of them are religious facilities too, but they claim to fix your child. In any sort of
normally don't get on my phone during a podcast, but because I don't have a producer, I'm gonna look this shit up.
Yeah, so you can pull up Unsilence is the website. A lot of the resources are on there. A big name that brought a lot of attention to this is Paris Hilton, actually, because she was sent to like several of these places, and it's like a funnel system. So okay, so say a kid is like having like lots of trouble like at home. It could be from mental health problems. It could be from like behavioral problems. But so say like you're a parent of like one of these kids, and like you go online and you're like, what do I do? And a lot of these places just cater to that. So
is there a name of a facility that comes to mind?
A specific facility off the top of my head, Provo Canyon School is one. There's lots of lawsuits on them. Provo Canyon School. It's in Provo, Utah. And they will claim to fix your teenager in any way, shape, or form.
Provo Canyon School.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So a lot of these places, it's very much a funnel system. So they'll convince a set of parents or like say like a judge, like judges will kind of use them in place of juvie, like just to just out of like resource wise.
So like if you look something up and you're looking like there's something fishy.
So yeah,
like there's something wrong. Like I feel like I'm the character in a horror movie, and this is Act 1.
Yes,
where I'm finding the fishy shit. So I'm on this page for Provo Canyon, and it's got a picture of a mom and a daughter, and it says Parent Stories, shows a picture. And the first quote is, "I am now most definitely ready to have my daughter home." Is that not like sounding off alarms?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God. So these places, okay, it's a whole industry. It's called the troubled teen industry for a reason. So say you're a parent that like reaches out for help in this regard, like for something. A lot of these places will be the first thing that kind of come to option. And there's the middlemen. So there's middlemen called education consultants. They're essentially will be like, okay, like you have this like problem like as a family, we're gonna find a placement like for your child, and they are paid by the programs to like for these referrals. So they get a cut of the thousands of dollars.
Of course they do.
Of course, oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Like that's their business model.
Yeah, it's a business, right?
So what they'll do is they'll get a kid put in the wilderness program, which is like a temporary one of these, but out in the woods.
Are y'all picking this up?
Please follow. So yeah, they will convince parents to be like, okay, like we'll do like a wilderness program that's supposed to be therapeutic in nature, and this will be like for like 8 to 10 weeks, and they'll say like, okay, your kid's not gonna want to go willingly, so they'll hire professional transporters or kidnappers. Essentially, they do it in the worst way ever to like be trying to get help for. Like imagine like you signed up for therapy and like they came and took you out of your bed at 2 a.m. because that's exactly like what happens to these kids. And it's terrifying. It's fucking atrocious. So that's like, and the parents will sign away like, yeah, like often in the contracts, I've read all of them. They say like, we will use force and restraints and whatever we need to get like your kid to this program. And they're not going to hear, they won't be in contact with you for however long. And it's very fishy. Like you would think as like a reasonable adult, like you would see through the cracks, but they will sell you on it from saying like your kid will die if you don't let us like work this program. So once kids are in like one of these wilderness programs, like they kidnapped, sent across the country, stripped of like all their bodily autonomy, and are in the woods with no communication to the outside world.
This did happen to Paris Hilton. I remember watching the fucking documentary.
Yeah, the This Is Paris. Yeah. So I'd like that had been like of interest like to me like in high school like, around like that time. But then I saw the documentary and I was like, oh, we gotta do something about this fucking shit. So she went through wilderness programs, I think like several too. But eventually after they'll funnel kids through wilderness once they're like finishing that program or like they feel like they kind of got a chokehold on the parents, like for payment wise or insurance or whatever, whoever's paying for it, they'll be like, okay, you need a longer stay now, and then put them in like a boarding school setting. So it only just like kind of gets worse, and most kids end up in this industry for 3 to 5 years most of the time. Most end up just like turning 18 and signing themselves out. And it's
so they're there until they become a fucking legal adult.
Yeah, and even then they'll be like, even if say like you turn 18 but you still have like months left like in your stay, they'll be like, you can sign yourself out, but you'll essentially be homeless, and like we'll tell your family that like you didn't finish, and like make it just super difficult to get out.
I'll say, and of course they're not going to give them transport out of there.
Oh no, absolutely fucking not. Like, and most of them are in such rural locations that the townsfolk will like know not to help either. So like there's really just nowhere to go. From the survivors I've talked to of this, like it's just as bad as it sounds, if not worse.
As bad as what?
As bad as it sounds. Like it's
as bad as it sounds.
It's yeah. Like, oh no, I can't imagine like being like put through that.
It sounds like they're trying to escape the fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre family.
Yeah, but like imagine being like in
the whole town's in on it.
And it is like everyone's. It's mind blowing to me like how many people are in on it because it's such a moneymaker. Well, these programs see these kids as a check, and recently one in Utah, it's called Diamond Ranch Academy, just shut down because there's a death there. It was on national news recently. Rest in peace, Taylor Goodridge. Oh my God, what a horrible way to go. They had she had died due to medical neglect. And
oh shit. Yeah, okay, so I'm reading this article from NBC News. Troubled teen facility in Utah ordered to shut down after child's death. State panel determined Diamond Ranch Academy failed to seek medical treatment or call a doctor for a severely ill 17-year-old that died. Let's see. Diamond Ranch Academy, a residential treatment center that promises to help adolescents with behavioral, mental, or substance abuse challenges, will not renew its license because of repeated violations. The facility must discharge all children and shut down by August 14th. And this is published July 14th of this year, so they just shut down.
Yeah, this is very recent.
Yeah,
they just...
Okay, so like you just said, Taylor Goodridge was the 17-year-old that passed away. Let's see. The Utah Department of Commerce review panel, which included 3 medical professionals and as part of a litigation process, determined that Diamond Ranch Academy had, quote, breached the standard of care. I'm trying to figure out... Okay, here we go. Taylor, a patient at the facility, died on December 20th. I'm assuming of 2022.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. It was this past year.
An autopsy report found that an infection in her abdomen led to sepsis, a life-threatening condition that is often treatable with antibiotics. An investigation previously concluded that Diamond Ranch Academy failed to take her for medical treatment, even though she'd vomited several times. Sepsis is fucking treatable.
Yeah. No one should be dying of that, especially at a fucking care facility. Holy shit.
Oh, get this. Okay, so she started vomiting around December 13th. All right, so, and for reference, passing the 20th. So, December 13th, vomiting, had an elevated heart rate, fever, low blood pressure. She had asked to go to a hospital, and according to the review panel's findings this week, she had pale skin and her stomach became distended. However, Diamond Ranch Academy did not bring her to see a doctor and did not bring a physician to campus. The facility eventually took a blood sample on the 20th, but she had died that day before lab results were complete. So the medical director, Dr. Danny Warwood, was contracted to come in every 2 weeks. He had last saw Taylor in February of 22. Holy shit.
So 10 months. 10 months prior.
Oh my God.
And these kids who are like in these facilities, they're not allowed to talk to like their outside family, like from the outside world. All the communication is completely monitored, and it's mostly like either through letters or monitored phone calls. One of the bills I helped advocate for in Utah, I remember posting like a shit ton about it, but one of the provisions that was super important for us to get passed was the unmonitored phone calls, because you're a kid thousands away from your family, and any sort of like means to like say like hi to them, you're gonna be like, hey, like I'm being like abused in this facility. They're like not feeding us. There's sexual abuse going on, and there's someone watching you like in case you say anything bad.
So that's already fucking horrendous, right?
Yeah.
But let's just say for argument's sake that there is absolutely no abuse happening at these facilities, right? No abuse whatsoever. It's a fucking daycare. It's awesome to be there. They're turning out great results.
Treatment's like happening, like what's supposed to.
Yeah, you would think, because not everyone that works at that facility is a healthcare professional, obviously.
Most of them are college kids.
So, okay, even more to my point. So, wouldn't you think, because they're all 18 and below, wouldn't you think that HIPAA laws apply? And what I don't understand is how, maybe you can answer this question. How can parents sign away HIPAA rights?
They sign a lot more away.
Is that legal though?
So essentially parents sign away, like in the paperwork, their guardianship. So the program kind of becomes the guardians, and they're able to make medical decisions on behalf of the patient. So that's like kind of where it goes out the window. And then the facility doesn't necessarily like, they can inform parents on like what's going on, but they don't have to like, they make the decisions. That's why they're not seeing doctors, and they're not like being properly treated for stuff. And there's so much kind of signed away, like rights wise, that it's very hard to attack programs after the fact. And it's a hellscape in its own sense. It's so weird.
So this is, okay. So in a statement from the Diamond Ranch Academy Executive Director, Ricky Diaz, he said the state government had treated this company unjustly. Quote, the decision to cease operations has been spurned by unfair treatment from the state of Utah, which has consistently demonstrated its lack of concern for safety, well-being, and treatment of the youths in programs. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
And then
no accountability.
So gaslighting out the ass, But then, so the review panel noted that Taylor had been a volleyball player in good health before she became sick. And a quote, elevated heart rate combined with vomiting is concern enough to call a doctor or go to the hospital. Paleness in the skin cannot be faked. Let's see. Okay, so October of 2021 is when she started receiving therapy to address behavioral issues, her family said. Her tribe, so she's part Native American.
Yes.
So she was coming out of a tribe, I don't even want to try to pronounce that. Stillaguamish?
I couldn't tell you.
Stillaguamish? I have no idea to pronounce that. Her tribe paid for the for-profit facility $12,000 a month.
Nope.
So
that's like roughly like how much like a patient like costs like per month, and as soon as like payments stop, that's like when they're like, get the fuck out of here. And like,
this is the last I'll read about it because they've got some bullet points here. So this is labeled under accusations of mistreatment in youth facilities. 2 Christian programs in Wyoming were accused of forcing troubled teens to do heavy farm work and humiliating punishments.
That's very common. Most of them,
such as tying girls to goats. What the fuck? Okay, and one of them closed. Girls alleged abuse at Circle of Hope Girls Ranch in Missouri.
That one's awful.
Ultimately, the owners face 100 criminal charges, and the case prompted changes in state law. A Michigan youth facility had an excessive pattern of violations, raising questions about why the state didn't act before a restraint caused a 16-year-old boy's death, and then Paris Hilton happened. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck? Like, it was this, and most of these facilities don't have a license to operate. Most of them kind of just will go to states where they don't have to have a license to operate, like Michigan, not Michigan, Missouri. And the religious ones get even like worse too, because just religious abuse like in general, but they'll kind of be justifying it like through God, and that's just sad excuse for Christian, and it's terrible. It's tolerated here in the States because it's turned such a big profit. This is like Utah's biggest like gross domestic like product. Like, this is where they're getting their money in the state of Utah, and it's like their biggest like for-profit industry. So they're kind of incentivized to keep shit under wraps, and it's when so many people are profiting from it.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And
I'll have to...
It's such a rabbit hole to like figure out.
At some point this week, I'll have to... Because we did an episode about a year and a half ago at this point, I think, with a good friend of mine. And she had gotten addicted to methamphetamine and heroin back into high school, going into college. And she's clean now, and I think as of the episode, I think she was like 18 months clean. But a part of the program was she had gone to this, like, it was like a Christian-based institution,
like a reform school.
Yeah, but it was for adults.
Okay, that's its own thing.
Yeah, but that just makes me think about this because there's a lot of similarities.
A lot of programs will like for the teenagers will kind of funnel into those adult programs. They will try to get a check for as long as they fucking can, and the youth ones are like where, from my research, is where the most mistreatment occurs.
Yeah. For
adults, it's like one other thing. Not to say like it doesn't happen.
Well, no, but the moment you're saying something like, hey, these institutions are now getting guardianship over a child, that's free reign.
Yeah.
Like, not to be ugly about it, but that's
it's
absolute
ugly.
Free reign.
It's very ugly. And like shit will happen, like that, like kids will die, and then families will kind of just be like left like, what the fuck do we do? And a lot of the safeguards that like would have protected them had just been gone out the window. And that's like something I want to see change. And I figure like I want to use like my platform to like address it because it just needs to be. And it goes so far as just like the treatment centers in general, but there's like conversion therapy still being going on in these places.
That's what's crazy to me is that because I've heard of that, where conversion therapy is getting used for everything from depression and anxiety to
sexuality.
Yeah, to sexuality.
It's supposed to be used as like, well, it's not supposed to be used at fucking all, but they will use it.
The theory behind it.
Theory is if you like kind of just cause enough like pain in a behavior, it will not be like, or it's changed. It's
the beatings and lashings will continue until morale improves.
Until you're not gay anymore.
Yeah.
Like I did this one research project in college, and so I got on the phone with an education consultant. So I was like, I want to see like what this like conversation looks like. So I pretended to be like a parent of a concerned parent of a teenager. I got on like LinkedIn to find like an education consultant, and I like played this little part for my project. And I was describing like stuff I knew that they would like accept, like
he lashes out, he throws all the plates, he sucks dick, I don't know what to do.
I said like a bunch of nonsense, and at the end I was like, and he's gay, and they were like, we have something for that.
Oh, no!
And I was like, you fuck. I was like, oh, God fucking damn it. They're like, we have a whole list of facilities specifically like for you, like, and it was like clockwork for them.
It's like the moment you said gay, it's like in SpongeBob where Mr. Krabs, his eyes turn to dollar bill signs.
Yep. Oh, just like that. I could like feel that through the phone. And once I got like all my notes down, I was like, all right, bye. And never talked to them again, but I was like,
dude, if we were doing if we were in business hours right now, I would fucking call them live.
I found like them I found like, I don't know, I just looked up like troubled teen behavior or education consultant on like LinkedIn, and I found like a shit ton of people.
Oh my
and
God.
they knew like it was so weird. It felt like clockwork for them to get kids into a program, not ever knowing that they'd ever been to the program. They just knew like where they would send people, and next thing a kid may know is that he's getting kidnapped in the middle of the night, and their guardianship is signed away to.
What's the craziest thing that you've seen in these contracts? Like what is like these
the autonomy is really like
rights getting stripped away type shit,
but they
and
could like lock you up in solitary. Like it goes like that far. Like they will say it's a temporary placement, like in solitary. Say like if they're being defiant, like in a program, the paperwork covers their ass, and it's scary to read because kids will go into this like with like not even like knowing that they're going sometimes, but especially at a super vulnerable time in their lives too. Like for this to be happening,
the most developmental time in their life.
The most developmental, like to be like kind of forced into like a cult in the middle of nowhere that's claiming to treat you and takes like your entire individuality away. That like just cannot be therapeutic. And it like doesn't, nothing about it makes sense. It's like it's laughable.
That needs to be the quote on y'all's page. That cannot be therapeutic.
Not at all. And like if you look at like all the websites, like they look all pretty and like there's horses and shit, and no, like girls are getting tied to fucking goats as punishment or getting beat or raped. It's so sad.
I was gonna say I'd imagine that there's an amount of sexual assault happening.
Yeah, and
there's no way there's not.
From many survivors I've talked to, they've recounted that to me, and it is so sad to hear because like.
So how are these survivors reaching out to you guys?
I've met a lot through like Breaking Code Silence, like conferences, through just like workshops and groups, and like also just like from online and like Twitter and stuff. I've read many books. Like a lot of survivors will become authors and like write their experience, and I've read a lot of those stories, and it's nuts. It's really nuts. Paris Hilton, she's a big advocate for it. She does lots of legislative work in DC for him, and I have hope. I have lots of hope that this is a problem that will be fixed. Right now, there's a federal bill. I don't know if it's been introduced, but it's called the Stop Institutional Child Abuse Act. She's like one of the main proponents of it since she's like such a big voice. Yeah. And that will allow a lot of reform to happen. Also, it'll just put eyes on a lot of what's going on since you got to put eyes on stuff to kind of expose the shit. Yeah. And
I mean, we're learning that now with the amount of like a year ago, everyone knew about human trafficking. Everyone's known about human trafficking, child trafficking, sex trafficking. Like, we've known about it.
This is what the trafficking that's like tolerated, though. Like,
right. But the reason I bring it up is like now people are starting to talk about it, like, oh, it's a lot bigger than anyone ever thought it was. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that number that I saw was a $37 billion industry. Yeah. And so now this, in conjunction with that, I didn't even know that bill was getting pushed up to Congress, but. Yeah, with someone as big as a voice as hers, with with her family behind it for sure. I mean,
because they were duped. Like she says, like her family thought like help was like happening, but no,
is her father Conrad or the grandfather's Conrad?
I'm not too familiar with her.
But because the only reason I reference that is because they're not stupid men.
No. But I could see
her grandfather because her father is Conrad Jr. Yeah, they're not stupid men.
But can you imagine like the program like talking with his family?
That's what I'm saying though, and I'm just adding credit to how tactical with their words.
Very.
These guys, and because I'm sure that these organizations have like pretty much training camps for these people who go out to pitch the idea.
Yeah, and you could kind of tell too. Like they see people as a check rather than a patient.
No, for sure.
And I don't know. It's a testament to like what can slip through the cracks, even for someone like of that status.
Well, there's insurance that'll cover it. I mean, come on.
Yeah. A lot of families will pay out of pocket, but if they can get fucking an insurance check for it, yeah.
Well, it's like, what are the insurance companies not auditing what they're paying for?
Or they just, oh no, a lot of the abuse can just be covered up and it'll just keep getting paid for. I saw something recently about like wilderness camps. Some insurance companies were like kind of reaching out and be like, hey, like, what's really going on here before we like kind of keep like writing these checks for like our clients. And there was a thing I remember seeing like a lot of survivors were like, hey, if you went through like one of these programs, like send in like your testimony, like there's chances to like shut down programs. It unfortunately takes a death, occasionally to shut down a program. But
like an incident that has to get recorded.
Yes,
absolutely has. They can't get written off. It's like, oh, it was an accident, or that didn't happen. Oh, that's hearsay. No, someone fucking died on your property.
Yeah, a teenager in their care that's supposed to be taken care of will be killed. And like she died of like a medical infection that like couldn't have been treated. Others have died due to restraints. From like being like, trampled on or whatever the case may be, but like she's not the only death.
I'd imagine there's suicides that have happened.
Many,
I would imagine.
I forgot who I was talking to, but like many end up killing themselves after programs because they can't like really come back into regular society. As sad as it is, programs ruin them.
Jesus Christ! What the fuck? All right, so before we get out of here, where can people find the website, any socials that are attached to it?
Unsilenced is the best. I have it like I'll put it like in my bio on Instagram. I'll start like posting like way more about it too. I tweet about it a lot, but Unsilenced is one of the biggest organizations you could be supporting for legislative purposes, for survivor resources. Just like if you want to donate to survivor funds or anything of that nature, it's going to a good place. It's also going to the legislative efforts. Because we need to get bills passed. Like, lots of, like, legal writing has to be, like, put in place before, like, people can be held accountable. And it's going to be a state effort. It's going to be a national effort. The hope is that just to have it nationally regulated. So, if you want to operate a behavioral health care facility for teenagers, you need to be consistently watched. Because you can't, like, a lot of them just kind of exist in the vastness of the wilderness.
Well, this sounds like it's in the same category as, like, the horror stories you hear about nursing homes.
Yeah. That's actually
providing care for people at very vulnerable points in their lives, and horrible things are happening.
Yeah, that's a very good example of, like, how it is. But, like, come on, as cliche as it is, like, the youth are the fucking future. We can't, like, tolerate this.
That is fucking crazy, dude. To really tell us all around, where can people find your music, your social media?
I go by SHATODOOR. It's SHATODOOR. That's how you say it too. It's SHATODOOR. It's not SHATODOOR or SHATODOOR. It's SHATODOOR. And my socials are SHATODOOR on everything. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, SoundCloud, Twitter, Threads. Not Facebook. I don't know.
That's funny.
But you can find me anywhere there. I play lots of the local shows. You'll see me on Astral Entertainment and Viva ABQ. And
do you have any shows coming up?
I not as of recently. I'm hoping I get Sudden Death this weekend.
Okay.
But I'll be posting about it if I get booked.
Fuck yeah. All right, buddy. Well, this was a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Through. This has been awesome. I appreciate all the insight about, like, not only just your DJing music and, like, all the ins and outs of that, but also what's going on with these facilities. Like, I love the work that you're doing, both entertainment-wise and avocation-wise. I'd love to have you back sometime, man. This has been a pleasure. This has been a fucking pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.